Something strange is unfolding behind the high, ivy-covered gates of Prince Andrew's Royal Lodge, a grand and secluded estate nestled deep within the serene expanse of Windsor Great Park. Once a symbol of royal prestige and privilege, the mansion has now become a focal point of intrigue and speculation. Whispers ripple through the corridors of power and echo among curious onlookers that inside the prince's private garage lie secrets far more consequential than mere collections of luxury cars or relics of royal indulgence. These murmurs speak not of opulence but of concealment, of something hidden, of a truth that may link directly to the most shadowed and scandalous chapter of Andrew's life. Could the answers to the Duke of York's downfall, his connections, his dealings, and his lingering ties to infamy be locked away in that very garage? For now, no one outside his dwindling circle truly knows. But as the world continues to watch the slow unraveling of a man once at the very heart of the British monarchy, curiosity about what remains concealed within Royal Lodge only grows stronger. The setting itself tells a story of faded grandeur. The Royal Lodge, a 30-room Georgian mansion surrounded by manicured gardens and centuries-old oaks, was once a place of laughter, receptions, and royal family gatherings. It was here that Prince Andrew once hosted dignitaries, entertained celebrities, and reveled in the privileges of his birthright. Today, however, it feels less like a royal residence and more like a gilded cage, a fortress of silence, where time itself seems to have stalled. Once second in line to the throne, Prince Andrew's life once glittered with promise. He was the daring royal, the helicopter pilot who served valiantly in the Falklands War, the Queen's favorite son. But those days have faded into a distant haze, replaced by scandal, retreat, and public disgrace. The man who once carried the confidence of a war hero now lives as a recluse, his name synonymous not with valor or duty, but with controversy and disgrace. Since his dramatic withdrawal from royal duties in 2019, Andrew has become an almost ghostly presence within the royal family, neither fully exiled nor accepted. With the Jeffrey Epstein scandal forever shadowing his legacy, every movement he makes within those gilded Windsor walls is met with quiet speculation. And so, the mystery deepens. Behind those ornate gates and thick hedgerows lies not just the Duke of York's retreat from the world, but possibly the remnants of the secrets that destroyed him. What's truly hidden inside those walls and within that garage may not just redefine how we see Prince Andrew, but how history remembers him. If you want to uncover more about the secrets, scandals, and power struggles within the royal world, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring you the truth behind the palace walls. Reports paint a picture of Andrew spending the majority of his time within his private residence, conspicuously absent from public events and royal ceremonies. A source reveals a quiet, almost reclusive existence, often watching television in dimly lit rooms, his only regular excursions being horse rides from the Royal Mews near Windsor Castle. His life, once a whirlwind of cameras, applause, and public engagements, now moves at a slow, almost invisible pace, a testament to his profound fall from grace. Royal Lodge itself, a grand and historic edifice, seems to mirror the man who inhabits it. Situated deep within Windsor Great Park, it is meticulously secured and shielded from public view, projecting an air of both grandeur and profound loneliness. Despite being stripped of his royal titles and his public role, Andrew inexplicably continues to live a life steeped in privilege. He is still observed driving expensive vehicles, including a Range Rover equipped with special lights, a vestige of his former official duties. Furthermore, he continues to benefit from private security, even as reports suggest that his financial support from the royal purse has been significantly curtailed. In a rare public sighting in April 2025, photographers captured him driving out of Royal Lodge with his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson. This sighting occurred shortly after the tragic death of Virginia Giuffre, the woman whose allegations of abuse ultimately precipitated his downfall. Though divorced years ago, the couple maintains a remarkably close relationship, sharing their two daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. Those close to Andrew reveal his resolute insistence on remaining at Royal Lodge, steadfastly refusing to relocate to Frogmore Cottage, despite King Charles's drastic cut to his allowance. He reportedly clings to the belief that he can still manage the mansion's considerable upkeep costs, a conviction that many insiders doubt will endure. For the first time in his life, the Queen's once favored son is compelled to live within financial constraints, his future shrouded in uncertainty. Behind the imposing gates of Windsor, his life now feels like an extended pause, a period of stasis while the world outside has moved irrevocably forward. Andrew remains in his private corner, surrounded by fading luxury and lingering shadows of a scandal that refuse to dissipate. Recently, the world's attention has sharply pivoted towards Prince Andrew's mysterious garage at Royal Lodge. Rumors have begun to swirl with increasing intensity, suggesting he might be concealing something profoundly significant within, secrets from his past that he is desperate to keep buried. Many speculate that this could be the true, underlying reason behind his stubborn refusal to vacate the Windsor estate. Even as mounting pressure from the royal family and increasing public distance surround him, the quiet mansion, once a haven of comfort, has transformed into a fortress of mystery. But before we unveil what was supposedly discovered inside his garage, let us first take a closer, more painful look at the prince's long, agonizing fall from grace, a journey that plunged him from the heights of privilege and pride into the depths of isolation and shame. Prince Andrew's career once shone brightly, seemingly an exemplary model of royal duty and military courage. As the second son of Queen Elizabeth II, he proudly joined the Royal Navy in 1979, following a long-standing tradition of royal service to the nation. He trained as a helicopter pilot, quickly distinguishing himself and earning a reputation for bravery and skill. During the Falklands War in 1982, he undertook multiple missions on the front lines, including dangerous decoy flights designed to divert enemy fire from British ships. Those who served alongside him lauded him as confident, highly capable, and fiercely determined to prove himself as more than just a royal name. His valiant actions in the South Atlantic earned him widespread respect within the military, solidifying his image as a true war hero. After the conflict, Andrew continued to build a distinguished naval career, steadily rising through the ranks to eventually achieve the position of commander. His dedicated naval service spanned 22 years, culminating in his retirement in 2001. Even after stepping away from active duty, his ties to the armed forces remained robust. He was a frequent presence at military events, a staunch supporter of veterans' charities, and held numerous honorary military titles across various branches of the armed forces, further cementing his connection to the military establishment. Upon the conclusion of his naval career, Andrew transitioned into royal and diplomatic duties. In 2001, he assumed the crucial role of the United Kingdom's Special Representative for International Trade and Investment. In this capacity, he was tasked with the vital responsibility of promoting British businesses abroad and fostering international relationships. He traveled extensively, representing the UK at global summits, high-profile business conferences, and international trade fairs. Many viewed him as an invaluable asset to British diplomacy, leveraging his royal status to open doors that might otherwise have remained inaccessible. For years, his calendar was meticulously filled with official engagements, meetings with world leaders, and events across the Commonwealth, projecting an image of a busy and influential royal. It was during this period that Prince Andrew's personal circle began to attract unwelcome attention. Among his new acquaintances was the notorious American financier Jeffrey Epstein. The two were reportedly introduced in the late 1992 through mutual friends connected to the exclusive echelons of New York high society. Over the years, Andrew was frequently seen at Epstein's lavish gatherings, attending opulent dinners and social events alongside prominent figures from the worlds of politics and business. Photographs captured them together on several occasions, both in the United States and the United Kingdom. According to some reports, their acquaintance evolved into a sustained friendship over many years, with Epstein even reportedly receiving invitations to royal functions at one point. Their friendship, initially perceived as merely social, would later become the epicenter of intense global scrutiny, ultimately leading to Andrew's public disgrace. The fallout from these deeply troubling connections was swift and devastating. By early 2020, as public criticism and outrage reached a fever pitch, the royal family made an unprecedented and drastic decision. Prince Andrew was formally stripped of his military affiliations and royal patronages. Charities rapidly severed ties, and his official engagements vanished entirely from his schedule. His once respected titles, including honorary positions in the Royal Navy and other services, were unceremoniously removed. He was now a prince without a role, his life irrevocably cast into the long, dark shadow of his past. The royal, who once proudly represented Britain's prestige on international stages, had become, tragically, a symbol of disgrace and profound regret. The sheer magnitude of his downfall and his entanglement in a maelstrom of controversy were truly astonishing. There are moments in life when silence reverberates far more powerfully than words. For Prince Andrew, that silence has grown increasingly heavy and burdensome with each passing year. The long, ominous shadow of his association with Jeffrey Epstein continues to follow him relentlessly, an inescapable specter. Although Andrew has publicly expressed deep regret for his poor judgment in maintaining that friendship, the irreparable damage had already been inflicted. The world had seen the damning photographs, read the disturbing reports, and began to question what truly transpired behind the elegant facade of royal life. Each subsequent revelation further darkened his already tarnished reputation, leaving the public to ponder whether the prince, who once embodied British honor, had become a painful symbol of its embarrassment. But Epstein was not the sole issue haunting him. Reports mysteriously surfaced about documents connected to Andrew's years as the UK's trade envoy having inexplicably disappeared. Rumors suggested these papers might have contained sensitive information regarding his business dealings and contacts. While nothing was ever definitively proven, the story added another perplexing layer to the growing mystery surrounding him. What also emerged were unsettling stories from those who had worked most closely with him. In Tom Quinn's revealing book, Gilded Youth, palace staff members painted a vivid and unflattering portrait of the Duke, describing him as rude, arrogant, and dismissive. They depicted a man who treated those around him with a startling lack of kindness or respect. According to one former staff member, Andrew would bark orders as if still living in a time when royalty ruled by command. Another chillingly recalled him hurling objects onto the floor and demanding they be picked up immediately. "He treated us like servants from another century," one insider reportedly told Quinn. Former Royal Protection Officer Paul Page also spoke out, corroborating these accounts by describing Andrew as overbearing and verbally abusive during his time at the palace. Even his former bodyguard, Ken Worf, shared that his manners were appalling. These stories coalesced to form a broader, deeply troubling picture of a man whose volatile temper and ingrained sense of entitlement alienated virtually everyone around him. One particularly damning account even claimed that Andrew once dismissed a staff member simply because he disliked the man's appearance, while another was reportedly fired for the seemingly innocuous offense of wearing the wrong kind of tie. By 2019, Andrew's public standing had utterly collapsed. He announced his decision to step back from his royal duties for the foreseeable future, acknowledging that his association with Epstein had become an unbearable distraction for the monarchy. Eventually, the prince who once moved effortlessly in glittering social circles now lives a secluded existence behind the gates of Royal Lodge, where whispers of arrogance, scandal, and profound isolation have mournfully replaced the grand fanfare of royal life. His grand garage, once a pristine sanctuary for polished Bentleys and sleek Range Rovers, now stands as a quiet, somber witness to his precipitous downfall. Some insist it holds more than just luxurious cars. They believe it harbors secrets he has kept hidden from the world. Let us now metaphorically step inside that garage and uncover what truly lies within, the place that has suddenly become the subject of intense speculation and public fascination. When the heavy, imposing doors of Prince Andrew's garage were finally metaphorically opened, what lay inside was far more than a mere collection of expensive cars. It felt akin to stepping into a forgotten, dust-laden chapter of royal life. A thick layer of dust motes danced in the stale air, and the silence was profound, broken only by the soft, mournful creak of hinges. There, hidden beneath tarps and the relentless march of time, sat vehicles that once unequivocally defined prestige, status, and exhilarating speed. Now, they seemed like poignant relics of a man whose life had undergone a seismic shift from royal glamour to profound, almost sorrowful, isolation. The first sight that immediately captured everyone's attention was an Aston Martin Vantage Volante, a classic from 1997. Once gleaming with an undeniable royal elegance, it now stood like a melancholic memory of better, more glorious days. Reports suggest this particular car held a special place in Andrew's heart, perhaps because his brother, King Charles, owned a similar model, sparking a subtle sense of competition and princely pride. It powerfully symbolized the luxury and inherent status of being a prince. But now, it stood motionless, covered in a fine, almost funereal layer of dust, powerfully reflecting how the prince himself had all but vanished from the public eye. In one dimly lit corner, a Bentley Flying Spur rested beneath a heavy tarp. Purchased in 2015 for an estimated $180,000, it was reportedly sold just a few years later as the combined weight of financial and personal troubles began to tighten inexorably around him. Then there was the infamous Range Rover, the one controversially fitted with blue emergency lights that had once sparked widespread public outrage. Despite his official withdrawal from royal duties, Andrew reportedly continued to drive this 100,000-pound vehicle around Windsor, primarily for his horse-riding excursions. Critics universally viewed this as yet another glaring example of his profound disregard for limits, a stubborn, almost desperate clinging to the privileges that his royal title had once bestowed upon him. According to detailed reports from The Sun, Andrew's car collection still reputedly includes several Land Rovers and another 80,000 pounds British pound sterling Range Rover Sport PHEV. Each car, in its own silent way, tells a distinct story, one of inherent power, another of defiant denial, and many of profound nostalgia. But the most striking and compelling aspect isn't the monetary value of these vehicles. It's the profound narrative their silence conveys. Their engines haven't roared to life in years. Their tires, once confidently rolling through grand royal estates, now sit flat and lifeless, seemingly deflated by the weight of time and scandal. Some speculate that hidden even deeper inside the garage are a few vintage pieces, perhaps custom-made vehicles from the vibrant 1,980 seconds and 1,990 seconds. Poignant reminders of an era when Andrew was widely known for his charm, his adventurous spirit, and his dashing good looks. Back then, he was a celebrated naval officer, a skilled helicopter pilot, and a charismatic royal bachelor who effortlessly drew crowds wherever he went. The garage, with its faded grandeur, now mournfully mirrors the inexorable decline of that once vibrant public image. Each silent car represents something profoundly lost. The Aston Martin speaks volumes of his lost youth and vanished pride. The Bentley whispers of power once held firmly in his grasp. The Range Rover, still occasionally driven, starkly reflects his ongoing, desperate struggle to cling to any semblance of relevance. Together, they do not create a picture of enduring wealth, but rather one of profound stillness, a life rigidly parked between past fame and present disgrace. Walking through that garage, therefore, is akin to traversing Andrew's tumultuous life journey itself. Once widely admired, he is now watched with suspicion and disdain. Once in constant motion, he now stands largely still. The collection, impressive yet profoundly quiet, tells a harrowing story of a prince who once sped through life with boundless confidence, but now finds himself inexorably surrounded by the very symbols of what he can no longer escape, his own indelible history. So, what does this hidden garage truly reveal? Perhaps it is not merely about the cars themselves. Perhaps it is a powerful metaphor for a man who has utterly lost his way, whose former power and pride now sit idly, like those dormant engines, waiting for a spark of redemption that may, tragically, never ignite. Currently, Prince Andrew resides in Royal Lodge, a grand, ivy-covered mansion that stretches across vast acres of royal land, deep within Windsor Great Park. From the exterior, it retains its majestic appearance, with sweeping lawns and high, formidable walls diligently guarding it from curious, prying eyes. Maintaining such an immense property is an undertaking of considerable magnitude. The annual cost of heating, lighting, and staffing a residence of that colossal size runs into hundreds of thousands of pounds each year. Even though the property technically belongs to the Crown Estate, Prince Andrew has lived there since 2003 under the terms of a long lease. Reports suggest he paid approximately £1 million for a 75-year lease, which might initially seem reasonable, but the true financial burden lies in the perpetual, costly upkeep. Security officers, dedicated gardeners, maintenance crews, and cleaners all contribute significantly to the escalating monthly bills. Despite his forced retreat from royal duties, Andrew stubbornly continues to live a lifestyle that unmistakably echoes the privilege of his past. Financially, questions have been raised repeatedly and with increasing urgency. How does Prince Andrew manage to maintain such a lavish lifestyle after losing his official income? Since stepping back from royal duties in 2019, his public funding was unequivocally cut off. Yet, he still demonstrably enjoys the protection and comfort typically associated with royal privileges. There have been persistent murmurs about him receiving quiet financial support from various family sources, possibly from the late Queen Elizabeth II and, more recently, from King Charles, albeit in limited capacities. However, the complete financial truth remains frustratingly unclear and shrouded in secrecy. The future of Prince Andrew, Duke of York, remains a riddle shrouded in speculation, whispered negotiations, and an ever-dwindling sense of redemption. Once regarded as the charming, adventurous son of Queen Elizabeth II, the so-called war hero prince, Andrew now occupies a shadowed corner of royal life, his every move scrutinized, his legacy deeply tarnished. Though he has long since withdrawn from public duties, his story refuses to fade from the world's attention. Instead, it lingers as a cautionary tale, an unsettling reminder that privilege offers little protection once public trust has been shattered. The settlement with Virginia Giuffre in early 2022 may have legally closed one chapter of his scandal, but it did little to heal the wound it left upon his reputation. The allegations linking him to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein unleashed a media firestorm that the monarchy itself could not contain. In the court of public opinion, the damage was irreparable. Once a confident figure at royal engagements, Andrew is now a man largely erased from the public face of the monarchy. His downfall became official in January 2022 when Queen Elizabeth II, his mother and perhaps his last true defender, made a decisive and painful move. She stripped him of all remaining royal patronages and honorary military titles, an act that symbolized more than disciplinary action. It was an unambiguous severing of ties between the institution of the crown and the disgraced prince. Deprived of his public role and forbidden from using the title His Royal Highness in any official capacity, Andrew effectively ceased to exist as a working royal. It was, in every sense, a royal excommunication. Since then, his world has grown increasingly small. Royal Lodge, his lavish 30-room residence within Windsor Great Park, has become both his refuge and his cage. Once the scene of elegant receptions and royal family gatherings, it now stands as a gilded reminder of what he has lost. Under King Charles III, the environment has grown even more unforgiving. Reports suggest that Andrew has been cut off from substantial financial support, forced to rely on personal reserves that are dwindling quickly. Rumors persist that he may soon lose his Windsor residence entirely, a final blow that would symbolize the complete unraveling of his privileged past. Yet, despite the isolation and disgrace, Prince Andrew remains defiant. Those close to him describe a man who refuses to accept his exile, still clinging to the trappings of royal identity. Though barred from using his HRH title publicly, he reportedly continues to do so in private correspondence and among his social circle. His appearances in public, though rare, suggest a quiet stubbornness. He has been spotted dining with wealthy associates, such as billionaire Johann Eliash, notably at London's exclusive Harry's Bar, a setting that evokes his former life among the elite. Even now, as scandal shadows his every step, Andrew seems reluctant to let go of the privileges that once defined him. Whether this reflects denial, pride, or a desperate bid for normalcy remains uncertain. What is clear, however, is that the man once dubbed the Queen's favorite son now lives a far quieter existence, his royal destiny replaced by a long, uncertain twilight spent fighting to hold on to the fragments of a world that no longer wants him. For someone once at the very heart of royal life, this half-hidden, almost clandestine existence seems both remarkably stubborn and profoundly sad. A man still desperately reaching for fragments of a past that the world has already decisively left behind. Royal experts offer a vivid and often critical picture of his current lifestyle. Nigel Cawthorne, author of Prince Andrew, Maxwell, Epstein, and the Palace, told The Sun that while Andrew is no longer a working royal, he still privately enjoys many of the same luxurious comforts. He spends his days within the vast, opulent confines of Royal Lodge, surrounded by horses, a private golf course, and the fading remnants of royal privilege. His ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, still living with him despite their long-ago divorce, adds yet another layer of strange, almost surreal normality to his withdrawn life. "He must bounce around in there with Fergie," Cawthorne remarked, vividly describing the prince's quiet but undeniably comfortable existence inside the 30-room mansion. He must have staff sweeping up after him there and arranging his teddy bears for him. That single, poignant image speaks volumes. Once a man of immense status, commanding ships and confidently shaking hands at international events, Andrew now lives a life that feels oddly frozen in time. A world where teddy bears are meticulously arranged daily, where an eerie silence fills the grand halls, and where luxury feels like both a comforting blanket and an inescapable cage. He may no longer face the unforgiving public eye, but the very walls of Royal Lodge whisper constant, painful reminders of all that he has lost. The road ahead for Prince Andrew, Duke of York, stretches long, lonely, and uncertain. Once a celebrated member of the British royal family praised for his military service, charm, and confidence, he now lives in the shadow of scandal and public disfavor. The grandeur that once surrounded him has faded into quiet isolation, leaving behind only fragments of what used to be. His days, by all accounts, pass in subdued routine within the confines of his estate, punctuated by brief public sightings and whispers of ongoing financial struggles. Though the royal titles remain, the prestige they once carried has all but evaporated. His world has grown smaller. The garage, filled with gleaming, silent cars, once a reflection of privilege and status, now stands as a somber metaphor for his life, a collection of things that no longer move, frozen in time. The same can be said for his beloved horses, tended to by others while their owner remains figuratively and perhaps emotionally dismounted. The sprawling estate that once symbolized success and royal belonging now mirrors exile, grand but empty, beautiful but hollow. Each corner of his secluded home seems to whisper a reminder of what was lost and of choices that can never be undone. Whether or not Prince Andrew chooses to sell his collection of cars is ultimately insignificant compared to what those machines represent. They are relics of momentum, of a man who once moved through life with supreme confidence and inherited privilege, but who now finds himself stalled, caught between the remnants of luxury and the harsh reality of disgrace. His downfall serves as a cautionary tale. The higher one climbs on the ladder of privilege, the more devastating the fall when integrity falters. The future, as it stands, offers little promise of redemption. Unless something utterly transformative occurs, his path will likely remain one of quiet seclusion sustained by wealth, but haunted by infamy. His reputation, tarnished by scandal and allegations that shook the royal institution itself, continues to shadow every attempt at reinvention. The Duke of York is no longer seen as the gallant prince who once embodied royal vigor, but as a man confined within the ruins of his own legacy. What grips the public's attention is not the opulence of his possessions, nor the speculation surrounding his hidden fortune, but rather the tragedy of his transformation. The once celebrated prince has become a symbol of squandered privilege, an emblem of how swiftly power and admiration can dissolve under the weight of one's own missteps. As the world watches from afar, one question refuses to fade. Can Prince Andrew ever truly reclaim his dignity and find redemption, or has he driven too far down a road from which there is no return? If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth narratives that uncover the hidden truths behind power, privilege, and downfall.